Hi kiddos, this is Amateur Woodworking with AZ Evans. Now today we're going to kind of put together tool review and our episode 5. So on the last video we talked about joining our wood and on this jewelry box project that we're working on. But today I want to get you a little more familiar with my table saw. And you can see my table saw here, and as I've said before, this is from Laguna Tool. It's a Platinum Series saw. Now this saw here has a dovetail mechanical lift system on it. Now if Camera Girl will come up here a little bit closer, we'll start going over some of the more basic parts of this tool. Now here you can see the handle. This right here is for our vertical lift on the saw. Over here, this handle actually will move the table or the saw blade where it will tilt in the left direction. Now over here you will see the power switch to the saw. And this power switch here is from Craig that actually powers my router, which is from Porter Cable. Now if you look down here, this table saw is setting on a mobility kit. Now this mobility kit is not from Laguna, it's from Shop Fox. And Shop Fox comes from Grizzly. And because of my lack of space in this garage, I do have this table saw put on a mobility kit. I keep calling it a table saw, but this is actually a cabinet saw. So now if we'll come around here, you can see some of my cordage here is kind of a mess, but we'll get down here and we'll look at a little more of the basics to this saw. Here we have an access panel to get into the saw if we need to do maintenance. Down here we have our dust collection port. All this comes off. We have a thumb screw holding this together, comes right off. You'll notice over here I've added a couple of hooks on this. All this is for is so I have a place to hang my cordage. And then as we come around to this side of the saw, we will see some hooks on the side here. And these are supplied by Laguna, and these are for hanging your tools or whatever. I actually put this basket down here on the saw myself, and that's for holding other tools I use on the saw. Now as you come over here, we can see the access door and it is open. Now if Camera Girl will come back over this way, and if she'll blow up and get in a little bit closer here, we can see the 4 horsepower Leeson motor that powers this saw. And up here we can see the 5/8 arbor that you mount your saw blade on. And this is all the mechanism that lifts your saw blade or tilts your saw blade. So now if Camera Girl back off a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and move my fence system out of the way. And now if Camera Girl come in here, we'll take a good hard look at the mechanicals of this. Now I'm going to get a flashlight in here. Hopefully we can see what we have. Now this is part of the dovetail lift system right here. And that's how this mechanics of this particular part of the saw lifts the saw blade vertically. Now if you'll look back over here, you'll see this here, and this is the trunnion that allows us to do a left tilt on the saw. Now if Camera Girl get over on the other side of the saw, let me get my flashlight down in here. And this is the dovetail on the opposite side for the lift mechanism on the saw. Now if you back off a little bit, you can see the arbor again. Now this is where you mount your saw blade, and this is a 5/8 arbor. Okay, if Camera Girl will come back out a little bit. we'll go on to the fence system that I have installed on this saw. Now what we have here, kiddos, is the Incra LS positioner joining system that I have installed on this. I have actually taken the Bismarck fence system off of this. Now if camera girl get up here on this stool we have, we can get a bird's eye view of this. And what you can see here, this whole mechanism moves pretty easy, and what we have is the lock handle is disengaged. Now you'll see a scale here, and this is where I originally set my saw. So when I move the scale to this line, if I wanted to cut a board on this table saw 7 inches wide, this is where I would lock this fence down at. It is very, very accurate. Now you're going to see some other scales on here, and we'll go into those later, because this is all to do with the Incra joining system that I actually use on the router table. So now if camera girl will come down off that stool, we'll move that out of the way. If she'll come over to this side of the saw, I'm going to show you the most important thing on this Incra system. Now if she can blow up in here, you'll see this is a threaded screw all the way across. Now the thing about this is we look at the incrementation handle, and if she can blow up in here, we can see that this can be set in 1/1000 increments. Now over here, if she'll blow up over here, this is your actuator handle that locks this down. Now this is open so I can move the whole fence. So if I'm at, say, 8 inches here, and in this position, this handle over here is live. Now I can take and move this fence 1/1000 increments. So I'm at 8 inches. If I need to take another 5/1000 off of this, that would be 5,000. I guarantee you, kiddos, this is accurate. This is like a machine tool. This is like a lead screw on a CNC. Works very well. Very, very nice. Okay, now that we've went over a little bit over this Incra wood joinery system, let's go over here and let's take a look at what I have for a router. Now, right here, what we have is the extension table for my router lift, and you can see this rectangular pocket here, and that is for the router lift itself. Let me lay this over so camera girl can get a look. Now this is the V2 Woodpecker router lift. Now this is a premium router lift. This is a good one. Now over here, this shows the incrementation that we can move our router up or down with this handle. Now you'll see this brake here. It's got a set screw here. This will lock it down. It needs to be loose so you can actually actuate this to move the router up and down for precise adjustment. Now let's lane this over on side. And what we have here, if you look at this, this is a router motor. This is a Porter Cable 7500 series 3¼ horsepower motor. Now it's a variable speed. You can look down here. This thing will go from 10,000 up to 21,000 RPM. You can see the actuator switch here to change your RPM. And this particular unit fits in this rectangular opening and will actually be plugged in to the Craig power switch over here. Now back over here on the table, we have a few more tools that go onto this table saw. Here's the writing knife. What we have here is the throat plate. We have our anti-kickback pawl. We have our mounting nut and our stabilizer. And over here we have the wrenches for removing the saw blade and doing other maintenance to the saw. Now you can see over here that I have some Johnson paste wax. And you're probably all wondering, well, what in the world is that over there for? And this itself is very important when you're carrying for cast iron. If you look at this table, it's clean, it's not rusted up. I treat this table with that paste wax. And what it does is it allows me to run a board over this table with very little resistance. And all of my cast iron tabletops, even on my joiner here, as you can see, this has the paste wax on it. It hasn't been rubbed out the same as the table saw right now. And, you know, a little later on, it won't be on the video, I'm going to rub all this out, and I will have an extremely slick surface. Now, what we're doing here is we're looking at this table saw, because if you look over here on this table, you'll see the wood that I have already ran through the bandsaw, the joiner, and the planer. This particular pile here. And this is the material I'm going to be using to build the jewelry boxes that we're working on. But, you know, I'll show you what I'm doing, but this is more geared towards teaching you how to size your wood. This wood is already sized at a 1/2 inch. Now, the length and the width has not been sized yet. And that's why I wanted you to take a look at my table saw. Because what we're going to be doing next on episode 6 is to size this wood. And this wood is going to be sized dependent upon my ICRA joinery system for doing finger joints. Now, I haven't actually decided how wide or how long it's going to be, the wood pieces that we see right here. This is going to be dependent on the finger joints that I actually install on this and how much material I determine I have to make. I want to make 2 of these, 2 jewelry boxes. So, as it stands right now, I'm going to set this saw up, and then on the next episode, I'm going to have more detailed information on this jewelry box, what we're going to do on the inboards and the sideboards, and how I'm going to join it with finger joints, box finger joints, using this system, using this side of the table where the router resides, with this particular router to put the finger joints in, and with this particular blade that we're going to size the width and the length. Now, kiddos, you got to understand, this is a hobby, and I do not want anybody being hurt. So always wear your protective equipment, your safety glasses, your hearing protection. Turn on your evacuation system for dust and chips. And on the next video, I will see you again. This has been AZ Evans. Bye.